You're listening to the Blacktop Banter podcast, the premier podcast in the asphalt industry, made for contractors with contractors.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blacktop Banter, and it's been an epic week around here. We spent the week at First Form with the Frisella brothers, hanging out, getting some information from Build Wit and Dirt World and whatnot. We wanted to keep the ball rolling. I don't know when this podcast is going to air, but we did want to keep the level of, content and, how do I want to put this? Information, bonus information coming. So I am thankful today because we've been trying to get this podcast together and the timing is perfect. Today we have Mike Claudio. Mike Claudio is the CEO of Winrate Consulting, CEO of Profit Panda, host of the Big Stud podcast. We were talking beforehand, like avid beard grower, hat wearer, dad, weightlifter. The list would go on and on, man.
I'm a busy dude.
Dude, I get it. So we're gonna pop into this podcast today and grab some info and some history of Mike Claudio. Let's get to it. All right, man. So you and I have been in proximity now for a few years on social media, liking each other's posts and sharing some posts for each other and whatnot. And haven't got to meet face to face, but I feel like the timing is going to be coming here before too long because we just can't be in proximity this close and it not happen. But I would love if you could share with us, kind of get started, the background of Mike Claudio and how you got to this point, because I love your social media content, the short form clips, especially when you're on stage, you know, your keynote speak. And when you do that, there's great clips that come out of there. So how did Mike Claudio get from where he started to where he is now?
So I just want to start by congratulating you, man. Like I real recognizes real to an extent. And part of the reason that I've continued to engage and share your stuff is like, it's hard to keep a podcast going. It's hard to keep these things happening. It's hard to keep up with the content. It's hard to keep up with organizing people for the value of only helping people. And like, clearly that's something you are incredibly passionate about. And like, I self-proclaim myself, I'm a real coach. Okay. Like I'm a real person. And like real recognizes real, man. And when I see people out there that are doing the work consistently over a long period of time, which is the hardest thing to do. 100. Everybody can start a podcast. Everybody can start trying to do something. It's who can keep doing it, whether they see results or not, who can keep doing it simply because of the commitment they made to themselves to not give up. And, and you're one of those dudes, man. Like, and I don't know the whole story. I don't know you that well, but like, you know enough about somebody that you can see them put in the work week after week after week. Yeah. Knowing it sucks. Like no one knows how hard podcasting is until you do it for a long period of time. You know, so like keep doing it because I think actually this week, the week of this recording, either last week or this week, I released my 500th podcast episode.
Wow. That's wild.
And like, and so until you've done even 100 episodes, you don't know how monotonously boring and miserable and how much you don't look forward to content. It becomes like, it becomes the shit you don't want to even think about again.
Yeah.
And so to even see somebody like yourself start with just the desire to impact people and the desire to put out a good message and the desire to break up the negativity on the content space, like you have done a really good job being consistent. I think, you deserve to be recognized for that effort because this sucks. Like, I appreciate you making the time for this, but I know you're mentally drained from spending time at First Form. I know you're mentally drained from hanging out with the guys and like the deep conversations I'm sure you guys had. Like, I know how you feel right now. This is the last thing you want to be doing right now, but you did it anyway because you committed to doing it, and I appreciate you for it.
Dude, it's by the time I get to the podcast booth, I've already done 5 things I didn't want to do this morning. So it's like, okay, cool. We're going to keep the ball rolling. But I really, really appreciate that. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, most people when they start podcasts now or they tell me they're going to, I'm like, well, I really need to know why you're doing this. Like, tell me why you're doing it. Because if it's for clout, you can have mine. I'll give it to you. You can come sit in the chair. It has to be for way more than that. And, it's not like great fame and riches and whatnot come from the podcast. And like you said, it gets draining. Like after the first 10 episodes, you start to wonder what the hell you're going to talk about again. Right. And then what it forced me to do, to be honest with you, was step up my game, step up my circle, and then force me to live a life that gave me content to talk about and things to talk about. And it's not easy, dude. And consistency is key with anything. And I owe it to myself and to our community to keep going. And now we're in rhythm, dude. It's like lifting and doing our thing. But no, I really, really appreciate that. And same thing on your end. Like, we wouldn't, I wouldn't reach out and keep reaching out if you weren't consistent as well. And your message and what you speak about and the people that you influence around you to be better are starting to bleed into my circle some, right? Where they're like, we had a mutual friend now that was been on my podcast where his message was there and he was like, yeah, I was challenged to kind of, put myself out there and start making content. I was like, who put up that challenge? And he was like, Claudio. I was like, oh, hell yeah. You're for sure going to have to go for it. So I applaud you as well. And, yeah, man, you just start to see people that say stuff that resonates and you know that it's the truth if you've been down that path. And it's like, all right, let's have a conversation. So, kudos to you as well, man, for the consistency.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, we definitely have some mutual friends that I think Cam's probably the one that I'm like, he was like, Cam, why you starting a podcast, bro? Why are you doing this? Because you better want to. Because and he's kudos to him. Like he's been consistent with it too. Cam's podcast has been consistent. He puts out good content and high quality, and everybody just started somewhere. So we'll get to your question now, right? So where did Mike Claudio come from?
Yeah.
But everybody starts somewhere. I was actually looking back. We're recording this March 1st of 2024. Yep. And I was looking back last month at 2019. Like I like looking back every once in a while at the years previous of like where I was and what I was doing. 2019 is when Winrate went full time for me. I had done some coaching before that when I was still running some other companies or helping run some other companies. I was looking back at some pictures. I was like, my first speaking engagement was like 5 people in a fucking closet. Like, right. And like, I just like I remember my first office in 2019 when I felt like having an office was like the right thing to do. And like all these things, but I really realized like, this is a lesson that I hope that I can instill in my sons. I hope that I can instill in more people. Like my skill set is to see more in people than they see in themselves. It's a skill set of mine. Like I believe in people more. I help them see what their superpowers are. I help them see what they're good at. I help them find their mission and their passion, which helps them push through the bullshit they don't want to do. Like that's a big part of it. But like something that I recognized, and I think if more people understood this, they'd be a lot more comfortable being themselves, is like what makes you an outcast in one season of your life helps you stand out in another.
For sure.
And I look back when I was a kid, like I was the kid on Little League, like yelling at other kids for not trying hard enough. And here I am, a fucking adult making millions of dollars a year, yelling at people for not trying hard enough. But like as a, in like Little League, like no one wants to be called out for not trying hard enough, right? And then like I've struggled making friends, I've struggled building relationships, I struggled in college, like I failed out of college, like I struggled in the corporate world because I just never felt like I fit in because I just held myself and the people around me to a standard. And like, I didn't always live up to that standard. The reality was the standard was there. And that's when like depression and anxiety and suicidal ideation and like major drinking problems happened. It was like, I was 330 pounds at one point, but I still had this standard. So I looked in the mirror, I fucking hated myself.
Oh, dude.
Right. And so like my standards have been really high forever. And it took me realizing that like my standards are okay. And like minimizing them for the people around me to make them feel comfortable was literally killing me.
Yes. Yep.
And so I spent years in this journey. Like people don't need to hear this story. Corporate America. No, what I did, what got me to where I am right now is learning how to be wildly okay with who I am.
Yeah.
And being very, very comfortable with what I'm not. Like I'm not a lot of things. Like I'm not a 6-pack guy. Like I'm not like great with financials. Like I'm not like, ironically, I'm the CEO of a financial service company because the people in that company are really good at financials, but I'm better at leading people.
Yeah.
But like getting really comfortable with who I am, unfortunately for me, and I've been getting more comfortable telling the story. Not everybody knows it, but like at the end of 2019, I attempted suicide.
Whoo, buddy.
Like most people don't know that story. No. And like I've told it from stage a couple of times. It's in the book I wrote. Like I wrote a book called #TooStrong, how to win fast and win often in a world full of obstacles. But the too strong part of that, and like it's probably not the best title for a book, but it meant something to me because I realized in that evening when I was like in this mode of I'm done living, I'm done battling, I'm done with the pain, I'm done with the emptiness, I'm done with the feeling lost, I'm done with the feeling I can't fit in. In that evening is really what built me. Because people ask like, Mike, how did you get so comfortable being yourself? This is the story. that night, there's a lot of things that led up to this. It's the only time this has happened in my life. But I had surgery on like a double hernia situation. Pain and oxy were basically like controlling me for like 3 days. This
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like for months. Like I was like 3 days post surgery, and I basically put the entire vial of oxy in my mouth. I was like, I had about 25 or 30 oxy in my mouth, like ready to swallow them and fucking be done.
Damn,
And
dude.
and like in that moment, I had this self-coaching moment. So I had this like image of me as this like super confident, think like military, high-level CEO like version of me just saying, "You're too strong to give up." And this other version of me in my head is this like snoveling baby, giving up, tired, miserable,
Yep.
victim, whiny. And like dude, I was literally done. But for like this happened over the course of about a 3 to 4 hour period. That ended with me spitting them out, waking my wife up. And the only, like, this is just like God shit. The only reason I spit them out was because I didn't know if 25 was enough to kill me. And I did not want to build debt, like medical debt for my wife. Like, I wasn't sure 25 was going to be enough.
Damn, dude.
And so in this evening, I basically had this, what I call now the championship version of me coaching me through this moment saying, "You're too strong to give up. You're too strong."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like hours of "you're too strong, but I don't want to. You're too strong. I'm tired. I want to." Like this, just think like massive victim, massive champion, same head, battling for life. Like I was literally battling for my life in that moment. And that was the day I decided I have to start making decisions and operating at my standard because the alternative at this point would be death. And so the Mike Claudio that everybody knows now is new. It's always been on the inside, but it's new on the outside. And I've evolved it and got more comfortable with it and gotten better at articulating and gotten better at delivering and got better at being consistent, getting better at like separating from the opinions of others. But that night was the night that this version of Mike that most people know now happened.
Dang, dude.
Because I basically said either I have to start making decisions this way or I'm going to die. And I had two sons. I have two sons. At that point, I had two sons that were like 3-1 or 4-2 at that point. I had a wife. I had a business. I had employees. I had customers. And I was like, if I don't start making decisions, like I've done it for 30 fucking years based on everybody else's standards. Because I grew up, my teachers told me what to do. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school. The coaches tell you what's good enough. The scoreboard tells you what's good enough. Like I went to college and played sports and failed out. Like I based my entire life on the performance anxiety of what other people thought was enough.
Yeah.
In that moment, I changed forever and said, I have to make decisions based on what's best for me, regardless of how that impacts others.
Yep.
And that's basically was the start of the journey to like who you know now and this man you know now and the content you see now was always in there.
Yeah.
I just did not have the freedom. I did not give myself permission to go be that person.
Yeah.
Due to the fear of the other people's perspective and opinions of me. And I had to break free of that in order to survive that season. And that wasn't a fun season. It wasn't an easy season. It wasn't a quick season. It was months of me talking myself into life.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I resonate a lot on that story. Mine would take just as long to kind of to tell you about that. But I think the common thing is like you said that was always there, right? Like that part was in there. That Mike Claudio version was in there. But the other one that you kind of are you grow up in or you're raised in sits at the forefront of that one. For mine, it was a lot of reliance on other people. And then I had something happen where like pretty much like a situation where like the person that I thought or the people that I thought the most were going to be there for me weren't. And then it was just like, dude, you're done. And same thing. But in my mind, I had like myself in a fetal position and then I just kept getting beat down. And same thing, dude. I had those same thoughts, those same idealizations. I got 2 kids and I've spoke about this on previous podcasts with some friends of mine. And all of a sudden it was just like, somebody showed up and it was a version of myself that was like, get the fuck up. Like I've got you, you get behind me. And now you're going to change from this to this. And there's a thing on my wall that hangs in my room now and I don't ever forget it. I don't necessarily need it as much anymore, but it literally is a real simple quote. And it says, no one's coming to save you. Get up.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I see it all the time over and over and over again. And now I live by that. But I think the reason that the content that you speak now, that you know exactly who you are, resonates really well is because there's a small portion of that in everybody, guy, girl, whoever, who wants to live their life fully as themselves. They don't know how to, and they've never had the situation happen where they absolutely had to. And that's why that stuff starts to resonate. And I think you see it a lot more with entrepreneurs who you coach, and I'm in the same loop as. We have the success group here, but I also run an asphalt business as well. You see it in that because, like you said, it takes a certain who do I want? Frisella was saying it this week. Like you got to be a little bit crazy. There has to be a little bit of a wire loose there. Well, that wire loose isn't really like crazy. It's probably the best version of yourself trying to peek through there and get through there. From what we found, and it makes things really unique. So, what common is that? The most common thing that you see? What are some of the common things, especially with entrepreneurs, that you see when it comes to them? We always talk about business. I'm not really business oriented or focused. I'm oriented, but I'm not super focused. I'm more focused on the things that money can't buy, but which makes me super unique as well when it comes to that regard. And probably why, like you said, I just want to help people most of the time. But what are some of the common issues that you see when you're doing consulting with these business owners and whatnot?
One of the biggest things, like, and it's a tough question to answer, right? Because there's so many uniqueness and there's so many variations in different industries. But I'm going to tell a story and then I'm going to answer the question. Okay. One of the biggest things I hear all the time is like, my business is different. My market is different. My clients are different, right? Everybody thinks that they're in a unique situation. And the reality is there's only one piece of business that makes your business unique, and it's what you want from it. All business is the same. You solve a problem with a solution for money. Like all business is the same. That's what we are, problem solvers. Like, it doesn't matter where your asphalt company is. You have access to the same product, the same material, the same standards, the same labor, the same people, the same subs. Like, you might be like, but my market's different. No, it's not. Like, it's not different. You solve a problem with a product or service, aka the solution, for money. People look at it as like it's a machine. There's inputs, there's outputs. The only thing that makes your business different is what you want from it. Right? Like, some people want to be a technician. Some people want to be on the equipment. Cool. I'm proud of you. But like, that's going to be a different decision making in the same business than someone who wants to be out of it and just wants it to run independently. But the business and how the business operates is the same, which is why business systems and processes are universal. It's an equation. Here's the input. Here's the output. Here's what's left over. Like, that's it. It's what you want from that business that makes your business unique. Which is why some people need to do residential, some people need to do commercial, some people need a big team, some people need a small team. It's getting really comfortable in what you want from the business. That's the only thing. So if I believe that to be like abundantly accurate. Like, I don't think anything's different in business. It's what you want from that business that makes it different. And so what I see the biggest issue is people don't know what they want. And they're missing the, like, I coach on and teach on. One of the first things I do with every new client is, what's your mission, vision, and core values? Like, what I mean by that is what is the North Star? What is that lighthouse that every decision is working towards? Because most business owners are not terrible decision makers, or they wouldn't have been in business at all. The problem is they make decisions that are inconsistently navigated towards different destinations, which makes the business fragment. And so that hire or that application or that piece of equipment or that debt you want to take on or that salesperson you want to hire or that pricing adjustment or that draw you want to take or whatever, if they're not made, if those decisions aren't made towards a unified desired outcome, singular desired outcome, they're not going to be wrong in the moment. They're going to be wrong in 18 months, and then the whole fucking thing's going to fall apart. Because the decision making, the solutions that you're bringing to the problems are not identified towards does this get me closer to this singular outcome?
Dang, dude, that's good.
And so when you make decisions in your business, this is what I see. I've coached people that do $500,000 a year, and I've coached people that do $85 million a year. And the problems are the same. When the business owner and the team are not clear on what is the desired outcome of the business, what are we working towards, decisions become incongruent, not wrong, just not aligned. People don't think how this decision is going to play out in 6, 8, 12 months, or how this hire is going to be able to evolve later. Like I say all the time, if you have less than, like, let's say 20 employees, every hire you make has to be promotable. But people don't think about that. They hire for what they need right now to get these projects done next quarter.
True.
Like, but none of my guys are promotable. Well, then you didn't hire correctly because you weren't thinking far enough out.
True.
You see this happen a lot when people have like a dozen different applications they're using. Do you know why? Because they were all made with a short-term desired outcome, and in the moment, it probably solved a problem. But when you get down the road and you got like $1,200 a month in fucking different application fees, and none of them are actually working together or integrated, it's because you were not thinking bigger picture than just right now. So go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you a question about I have a feeling you're hitting the nail on the head. That's why it's really good, and I'm taking notes, writing some of this down so that I can kind of keep my thoughts together. But there's I have a feeling like some people when they start their business, Mike, they're like, I want to get to $1 million, have the business debt free, have a house with a white picket fence, 2 kids, whatever. And they're guided by that right out of the gate. And then they acquire that. And then when they acquire that, they haven't thought next level. They're literally just feel like, well, maybe I should be doing what everybody else is doing. They don't reset to another North Star. Am I hitting that one right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give 2 pieces of advice on that. So the first is the mission that you develop for your company needs to be externally focused, impact driven, and not attainable. You can't reach it. Like, I want to create champions by having an impact with every conversation I have. That is my mission. That there's no end goal to that. There's no destination to that. There's no I'm never going to. Every day I achieve that, and I will never fully achieve it because every day I meet new people, and every day I show up to conversations like this. And Marvin, if I change your life in today's conversation, I accomplished my mission. But if I show up tomorrow and I'm hungover and I negatively impact somebody because I'm not being intentional, my mission fails. Mm-hmm. So every day, every decision is built towards how do I make an impact? How do I build champions and make an impact with every conversation I have? With kids, to adults, to online, to passive, like with content, to like engaging like this. Your mission has to be bigger than like monetary and or materialistic accomplishment because it gets too early to get there. But the problem is, go ahead.
Well, I'm probably going to talk about what the problem is. Now that you led with that one, I was like, I probably was jumping the gun on it. What happens, what I see commonly is guys acquire that first set of goal, which is baseline stuff to get them to a certain point in life, whether it was making their community proud or whether it was to get clout or to look like they quote unquote made it or whatever. And then they're like, I don't know what else to do. You know what they do? They start celebrating. From what I found, like we'll drink a little bit more here and there. We're living the good life. We don't got to be there 7 days a week. We can be there 4 days a week and all that. Pete and Bob and whoever take care of it. Culture goes away. There's no North Star. It's just, hey guys, check the boxes. I'll be over here. And I start to see some stuff unravel, man. And it's like, if we were resetting, if we were goal setting, the first step would be the first step. Most people, when they start their business, that's their end goal, and they acquire it sooner than later. And then there's no stepping stone to like, what is my purpose for doing this business? What is my actual purpose statement? In my opinion, Dynapack CC900G roller is the best roller on the market for driveway and small parking lot paving contractors. The seismic technology in these rollers is unbeatable for the smoothness and compaction they provide. Take my word for it, or visit Dynapack.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey, Blacktop Banter fans. This is Michael with Aquafault. Aquafault is the only permanent repair material for asphalt and concrete that uses water. And installation is simple. Just pour, add water, and tamp. It's that easy. An Aquafault repair can be open to traffic immediately and fully sealed within 24 hours. Visit aquafault.com to learn more.
I work closely with KM International to design what I believe is the best seal coating unit on the market. The Blacktop Banter Edition seal coating unit, available in both 550 and 700 gallon versions. Learn more about the unit by visiting kminternational.com.
Quick startups, fume-free, automatic agitator shutoff, a splash-proof lid, and pumping on demand, these features are essential for any serious asphalt maintenance contractor. Elevate your game with the Craftco SuperShot line of melters by visiting craftco.com today.
Hi contractors, it's Kyla from Wiscoat. We use Stencil Plus for all of our pavement marking stencils. You can save 10% on your stencil order by using code BB10 during checkout at stencilplus.com or by calling 877-372-6055.
In the past year, Jobber has been our CRM of choice at Wiscoat, and it's made our world exponentially better efficiency-wise. For our small seal coating company, it has helped build the solid foundation we can scale from. Jobber is now a sponsor of Blacktop Banter and helps bring this show to you. With this partnership, Jobber is offering an exclusive savings to BB listeners of 20% off for 6 months. To take advantage of this, find the Jobber link in the show description and get to improving your process today.
Yeah, so one of the things I see is not so much the ability to not dream bigger, is that when people have nothing, they're willing to take major risks because they have nothing to lose to attain something. And then once they attain something, they turn their attention to protecting what they have instead of growing.
Damn.
So you go from like, I'll risk everything to get something to I'll risk nothing to keep what I have. And the reality of business is if you're not prepared to consistently invest at an uncomfortable level to grow your company, which means you need to level up the risk, you need to level up the investments, you get stagnated because you get so afraid of losing what you have, the risk of gaining more isn't worth it to you. But what really happens is you stop investing into the machine, the market out-evolves you, not the machine falls apart, the market out-evolves you, competition catches up, consumer buying habits change, pricing models change, and you stop paying attention to evolving because you're so afraid of what risk not to take to lose what you have. You take no risk. You do no evolution. You don't keep up with anything because you're spending all your time protecting the little bit you built. And what happens is the market out-evolves you because you stop taking risks. You stop making changes. You stop adjusting price points. You stop negotiating things. It's how we've always done it. Cool. But at the speed at which information transitions right now, because of internet, because of content, because of social media, because of the consumer ability to go educate themselves, what happens is you're not afraid to risk at the beginning because you have nothing to lose. Once you get something to lose, you stop being willing to risk it.
Damn.
And then you stagnate. And when you stagnate, this is where you see people that are they're on fire, they're in front of everybody, and then all of a sudden they're apologizing to everybody because they fell apart.
Yep.
Right? What happened is they were taking risks. They were investing, they were taking risks, they were taking on debt, they were hiring people and firing people, and they got a little something. They had that first $500,000 personal income year. They got the toys, they got the house, and they're like, well, now I can't lose any of this. So they get in protection mode. That's not how you fucking win championships. You don't win championships and prevent fucking defense.
That's true.
You don't.
True.
Yep. And so what happens is I think they do have a vision of what's more, but the fear and the pain of evolution to get there is greater than the pain of staying where they are, compared to at the beginning, the pain of staying where you are is greater than the pain of change because you ain't got shit. Then you get something, and then the pain of change or growth or evolution, I think people have a vision of more. I think they get too afraid to chase it out of fear of losing what they do have. And that's a fair concern. I'm not saying it's wrong. Losing everything, is if you're going to build something, like you were just with Andy Frisella, if you are going to build something that is changing a generation of people, you better be willing to bet all of it always.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You got to gamble everything. You got to be willing to risk it all to gain an inch. Risk it all to gain an inch. Well, at the beginning, you're not risking shit, so that inch seems pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not risking anything. You ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
But you get something. I got there about 18 months ago. This isn't a brag. I just want to paint the picture. I had 5 cars at that point. I have a $1.7 million house at 7,000 square feet on 4 acres. I got my gym. I got my pool. I got my family. We got a nanny. We got all the shit. I'm putting it all on the fucking line to grow right now.
For sure.
Right. And like, that's necessary. People are like, oh, Mike's winning. Fuck you, asshole.
Yeah, no shit.
I'm getting my dick shoved in the ground right now because I'm trying to build a team. I'm trying to invest in people. I'm trying to invest in processes. If you stop doing that, like, it's one of the best pieces of advice that I heard that hit me the most. People say, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever heard? There's two. There's two of the major things that changed my mindset around what I'm capable of. The first was, you don't have a spending problem, you have an earning problem.
Mm-hmm.
People used to tell me I spend too much money. No, and then at first I was like, no, I just don't make enough yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like nice shit. Fuck you. Like, that was the first. The second one was, in order to continue to win, you have to continue to invest at an uncomfortable level, which means your level dollar figure of investing has to increase back into your business because it has to stay uncomfortable. It's what keeps you focused. It's what keeps you mission focused. It's what keeps you on purpose and in purpose on purpose because you're uncomfortable because it has to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're focused with a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, that's where there's zero doubt. Kind of like you heard me talk about zero doubt all the time. Yep. Zero doubt is about at every level of your life going forward. If you've accomplished anything of meaning to you, every next level is going to be riddled with fear. But you have to have zero doubt in your ability to solve the problems to maintain that position. That's zero doubt. Zero doubt's not, I'm not scared. Fear is prevalent at every next level because it's ignorance. The ignorance is the fear. I don't know what's up here.
Yep.
But I have zero doubt in my ability to overcome those challenges. With that zero doubt, I can accomplish anything. But I also have to risk it all. I have to risk it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
one of the analogies I used to use a lot, it's been a while since I've said this or used this one, but it's I used to look at these separation seasons. This isn't like separation season from the competition. It's like me separating from the level I'm at to get to the level I want to be. That's the separation season that I don't pay attention to the competition. Like, there's enough to go around. I'm very abundant from that perspective. Like, there are plenty of people that need to be coached in this country and world. Like, to worry about what my competition is doing doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
I felt the same way when I had a roofing company in Charlotte. Like, I don't care what the competition's doing. No one can handle all these rules. So I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing. So when I think separation season, I think of myself separating from where I am to where I want to be. And the analogy or like the depiction I had in my head about this was, and I don't know why this is the thing, but I pictured Tarzan. When Tarzan grabs the next vine, he has to let go of the last one to move forward. So many people are afraid of letting go of the vine they have right now to grab the next one. They get stagnant. They start swinging in the middle. And guess what? They lose momentum. And then they're stuck. And then they fall. And that was a depiction for me that like just nailed it for me in the moment of, I have to let go of this last vine so I can grab the next one and keep the momentum going into the next season. But to do that, I have to let go before I can grab the next one. That means at some point, I have to take the risk that I may miss the next one. But that's a better risk for me than staying attached to where I am right now because I deserve more. I am bigger than this. I am better than this. I'm going to create a bigger impact than I have so far. I have to let go of this one to grab that next one. But that means at some point, I got to be holding on to nothing and trust myself. I have zero doubt I'll be able to grab the next one.
Yeah, your momentum is going to take you to the next one, hopefully.
Yep.
To give a little bit of context, we were fortunate enough, as I said, to be around Andy and Sal the last few days, and you hit the nail on the head when you kind of referenced them because, dude, we were there early, and so were they, and then we left before they left, and we left at like 6 p.m. and we got to be with Andy for a minute, and he was like, "You guys fucking see this, right?" He's like, "I'm here, and I'm always here." He's like, "You know why I'm here? Because I fucking have to be." He's like, I have to be here. And that's how it let me know, like, he's living exactly what you're talking about, where, like, they keep going and it's real uncomfortable, and he's going to be there because he's risking it. He knows, like, if I'm here, I'm going to keep the things going forward. He's got a lot to lose yet, but he also has a lot to gain yet. Well, to hear him say that First Form and Nike are going to be hand in hand, was just like, holy shit, okay, we're talking about what were you talking about a minute ago? That vision of like being way the fuck out there and showing up every day and having to. That's when it put into perspective for us. My friend Daniel and I were there, and we looked at each other like, oh shit, he's not going to stop. There's no way to stop him at this point. And that's why he is the way he is. But, you know, then we talk about scaling. When we left there, I was there with great friends of mine, and we've all had millions of dollars go through our hands right up to this point, all business owners, and a lot of us there, and every one of us looked at each other and was just like, yeah, we can take back a lot of stuff we learned here and put it towards our purpose in a lot different way to start winning a lot better. And it was like, damn. All right, cool. And how do we do that? That's why I kind of want to lead into the next one. We learned some stuff and some tactics, and was able to kind of uniquely put it into all of our each businesses as we spoke with each other before we left and departed all across the country this week. What are some of those tactics? Because there's guys there that like they don't know where to go from there. Like we're telling them, you know, you have to dream bigger. You got to go here. You got to have a bigger vision, bigger purpose, reset, keep going. What are some of those tactics? And I think you're probably going to agree with me on this one. My biggest thing that I always talk about is changing your atmosphere and being around people that talk about this type of shit pretty regularly.
So what I'm going to say is what you just said, but just said a little differently. That's been really helpful for a lot of my clients. So it is imperatively important that you have a very clear vision of what you want and where you're going. The problem is people struggle seeing that, finding it, developing it, feeling as if they're connected to that desired outcome. And typically it's because you're operating so far out of integrity with who you are meant to be. And so what I tell people most of the time to start with, because if you can't see what you want, I guarantee you can see some things you don't want. What do you not want your business to be? What do you not want to operate like? How do you not want to be as a husband or a father? How do you not want to be as a leader? How do you not want to be broke? And if you start making decisions to not be those things, you start shedding some of the bullshit that's keeping you in the dark, right? I picture when you're out of integrity with your mission, you're at the bottom of the hole. It's dark. You can't see the mountain because you're too deep in the hole. Well, the best thing to do is to move away from the bottom of the hole to get to the light. So if you don't know how to move towards something, it is incredibly important. You have a very clear mission that you are passionately connected to. But most people can't dream like that immediately, but they do know what they don't want. So I challenge you, if you're listening right now, to say like, well, I don't want to be an alcoholic. Okay, what would an alcoholic not do right now? Like what would be the opposite of an alcoholic? You know, I want to be successful. I'm tired of being broke. Okay, what would somebody who's not broke do right now? Like, I'm tired of being fat. Okay, what would someone who's not fat do right now? You start making decisions at those Y's in the road to move towards or away from what you don't want, which moves you towards what you do want, and shedding some of those anchors and shedding some of those bad decisions and shedding some of that brain fog and shedding some of that anxiety and depression actually teaches you what you want, because you don't know yet.
Yeah.
If you've only made decisions based on other people's opinions, you've only made decisions based on short-term gratification and satisfaction, if you only make decisions based on your addictions and your habits, you probably don't know what you want.
It's true.
And I think it almost be irresponsible to try to say, well, just figure out what you want, then go get it. That's a really asshole statement to say to somebody who's face down in the fucking dirt at the bottom of the hole.
Yep.
They don't even know where to start. So like if I'm saying you're face down at the bottom of the hole, hey, what would somebody who doesn't want their face in the dirt anymore do? They probably lift themselves up. Okay, first step. Hey, you're not in the dirt anymore. Boom. It's a win. We're building wins. We're building momentum. We're building a winning streak. We're building confidence. We're building self-belief. And then so start making decisions away from the things you don't want in your life. So I would say take inventory. Look at the roles in your life that matter most to you. Maybe husband, father, CEO, sales, son, brother. I'm using men because like I primarily coach men, but like what are the roles in your life? Let's use the ones for me right now are husband, father, leader, athlete. Those are the 4 roles. If it does not support one of those roles, I am not prioritizing time for it right now.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, as a husband, as a father, as a leader, and as an athlete, what are things I don't like about myself in each of those categories? What would somebody who doesn't operate like that do? Well, maybe they'd stop drinking. Maybe they'd stop playing video games. Maybe they'd stop, that goes in line with what you said about getting around people who are doing the things you want. Maybe you don't know what somebody who isn't fat. How do they operate? Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're obese, but you're still the smallest person in your family. You don't know what fitter people do, right?
For sure.
So getting around them can help you see, well, what is the alternative perspective? But even if you say, hey, well, normally this is my daily routine. I'm going to not do that again. I'm going to change one piece of my routine. I'm not going to eat after 8 o'clock. I'm not going to drink soda. Like, I'm only going to have 3 sodas a day instead of 5 sodas a day. One of the biggest things, the mistakes I see people make, they try to go from like 0 to 100 or 100 to 0 on something. You need to make minor adjustments. I'm going to show up. I'm going to wake up 5 minutes earlier, not 3 hours earlier. I'm going to walk for 10 minutes, not go run a fucking 5K. I'm going to drink, like, even for me, like, alcohol for me I was never an alcoholic, but like, alcohol was a thing that was just part of my routine. And so if you're used to drinking 7 days a week, commit to 5 days a week for the next 30 days. That's a win. That you convince, because there's going to have to be hard decisions in there for you to say, not tonight.
Yeah.
Right? And so those little adjustments away from what you don't want will ultimately help you figure out what you do want. Because you start shedding the anchors, you shed like the things about yourself that you don't like. You shed the insecurities you have about your commitments because you lie to yourself all the time about what you're going to do, but you don't follow through.
Yep.
I heard something recently. I'm sure it's a quote from somebody. I don't know who said it. I saw it or heard it recently on social media, and it was, your self-worth is based on the evidence of your behaviors and actions, whether you have an audience or not. Your self-worth is based on the evidence of your behaviors and actions, whether you have an audience or not.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
How you feel
proud
about yourself?
Yeah.
But did you live up to your standards?
Right.
When people were watching or not? Like, did you have that cookie? Did you not? Did you have that drink? Did you not? Did you have that smoke? Or did you not? Did you play that thing or not? Did you go to porn again or did you not? Did you yell at your wife and kids or did you not? Like, you know the decisions you make. And so in order to build the self-confidence to trust the vision you're trying to build, you have to get away from the things that are destroying your self-confidence and your self-worth.
Yeah. What you put into perspective there is envisioning yourself, the best version of yourself that you would be proud and happy with. Right. And like, especially when you look at yourself, and you can't just like, that's not just going to happen. Shit just doesn't happen. You've been following me long enough now. Like, I'm a whole human smaller than I was before, right? Like, I had guys that were in the field. My son, he's an athlete at this point, and me trying to like tell him sports stuff, right? And like, you should watch your diet, should do this, and I could just like, he never did it to me, but I put myself in his shoes, and I was like, at some point, he's gonna be like, how the fuck are you going to tell me what to eat and what to do and how to run and whatever? You know what I mean? And it literally, that hit 2 of mine, right? Father and leader, both with that one. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I know that you get slimmer if you do cardio. I know you get slimmer if you eat healthier and eat less of this shit and more of this stuff. And if you don't drink as much and you drink more water, you're going to be all right. And that was that shift, like you're just talking about. Like, it's not like I ran a fucking 5K at 300 pounds day one. Dude, I walked for like 30 minutes and then died getting up the stairs. And I was like, holy shit, we got a ways to go in a short time.
I don't know if you know this, but like, at my biggest, I was like 330 pounds.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know
me,
that. No.
Like,
Do you think back sometimes and like look at that and just be like, dude, I always think, so we had a split level house, and like if I went to this step and that step, I was fucking dead, dude. Like, but if I came through the front door and went up, I was fine. But if it took 2 flights,
putting my shoes on was a multi-step process because I couldn't breathe bent over. Like, I had to put my belt on my pants before my pants got put on. Like,
dude. It was nuts, man. But it's not like to say that it's a gravy train. Like, my fucking hips, knees, and ankles hurt for months when we would run, and Eli would be in front of me, dude, like forever. He's 13 now, and he'd just dust me. And then as we got closer towards our goal, we set a long-term goal to run a 5K for the Louisville Humane Society. And it was 6 months. I started training. The kid wasn't. He was playing video games, hanging out, doing whatever. But I started training my shit. Then about 3 months in, we started running together, and he would dust me. And then the day before we went down to Louisville to run it, he was looking around where we're at. There's a subdivision that's undeveloped in the middle, and you can see each other. You do 7 times around, it's a 5K, and you can see each other from the other side. Well, I seen his head like turn and to look, trying to find me, and I was 40 feet behind him, like on his fucking heels, dude. So he takes off again, right? Just getting it, trying to get it. We get near the last lap, he does it again. He turns around and looks, and he sees me, and I'm same thing, 40 feet again. Boom, and he gets to the end, and he's dying. He's like, if I couldn't have turned it on, you would have passed me. I was like, yeah. And he used to quit 3 laps before me because I still had to catch up to him, and now we're dusting. But it took incremental change to get to that point to where we could get down there and run that thing and do that thing. And, we're still improving, moving.
Let me use that as an example, though. That is an example of previously the pain of going for the run was worse than the pain of staying the same. It wasn't until you had the thought of the pain that you felt of my son judging me for asking him to do something I wouldn't. That pain was greater than the anticipated pain of change. Until that happened, you wouldn't have changed. Because the thought of going for a run at that point at 300 pounds, like, that's going to fucking suck. I'm okay. I ain't that unhappy. Like, it wasn't until you had the pain of, and for your case, it was an emotional pain of my son is going to call me a hypocrite.
Yep.
It wasn't until that moment that you said the pain of going through this journey to lose the weight and do this 5K is less than the pain of staying where I am. Same thing we talked about earlier from the evolution period is the pain of change has to be less than the pain of staying the same, at least the anticipated. And like that emotional pain for you of being called a hypocrite by your son was enough pain for you to say the physical pain that I'm going to have to endure to lose this weight and become a runner is less than the emotional pain of staying where I am and being called a hypocrite by my son.
Yeah. I'm okay with him kicking my ass now because I'm literally at the forefront of the best version I've ever been. So it's like, all right, if if he gets me now, all right, cool. We both know like he got me at my best, but that was definitely not my best. And here I am trying to lead people, lead my crew. We'd be out on a paving job or a seal coat job or whatever, and like I had to be in the truck with the AC because I was like dying. Couldn't fucking do anything, and here I am asking these guys to buck it up and go harder, and it's like, dude, we're not setting that bar, we're not doing that. The one of the things I think that is difficult that we talk about, the run is difficult, the physical part's difficult. There are some nights where I could not sleep because of the shit that was haunting me inside of my head, and no one wants to look at that stuff. No one wants to venture down that path and take a peek at it and get one-on-one with the pain again. But one of the biggest key components I think that helped turn the corner for me and what we've seen with my consistency here at BB and how I think and how I function is late nights. We had a hot tub on the back deck. I would literally go out there and it'd be late as fuck. I would sit in there and with no phone, no nothing, and think about all the shit that really bothers me and how to sort it out. You know what I ended up coming up to? Like I found key things that were words like forgiveness and other words where I didn't really know the exact expression of those until I absolutely needed them in order to categorize that stuff, put that shit away, let people know it's all right, look at myself too. There was shit that I did that I blamed other people for that I thought was totally cool back then. And I'm like, yeah, that was probably stupid as fuck. So then I had to admit it to myself, become that best version of myself to make that shit happen. There's tactics and little things that can go along the way to help out. One thing I want to ask you, and I've been really excited to ask you this question. We ask everybody who's on BB is not necessarily doesn't have to be geared towards contractors or entrepreneurs or whatever, but a general piece of advice, an overall piece of advice. You gave the one of like have a clear vision for sure of what you want your life to look like, your business and whatnot. But what could it be, man? What would be an overall piece of advice from Mike Claudio to help people live better lives? That's big. It's vague too. Sorry about that one.
No, I think like it probably plays in a little bit to kind of what we talked about here, but don't tolerate anything or anyone underperforming your standards. I see people make excuses for people, devalue themselves, keep things and activities and behaviors and habits around them that are just wildly under their standards, and it destroys them. Like, and this is from like relationships to like, who do you hang out with? What gym do you go to? Who are you drinking with? Like, what is your routine, your behaviors? Like, don't tolerate anything or anyone underperforming your standard. And like, those tend to be very hard short-term conversations, but it builds momentum over time, and it allows you to have less hard long-term conversations, which ultimately breeds faster speed, breeds like lighter heart, allows you to operate in life quicker and faster because you're not being dragged down by a bunch of things around you that are beneath your standards.
Yeah.
And so knowing your standards are obviously part of that. But like everybody listening right now knows that there's probably an employee they need to fire, a friend they need to fire, a habit they need to drop, a routine they need to adjust. Like there's something in your life right now that you know, like, man, I'll get to that. Like stop waiting to hold your ecosystem to your standard. And like, yeah, that might mean you're going to piss some people off. Like guaranteed. Actually, it's not Mike. You are guaranteed to piss some people off because you've been lying to them. You've been lying to them that you want to hang out with them. You've been lying to them that they're doing a good job at work. You've been lying to them that they're adding value to their life when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And so the minute you tell them the truth, like, hey, man, like, this friendship's not working for me anymore. They're like, what do you mean, man? Like, what the hell? Or an employee's like, what the fuck, man? Like, the reality is you've been lying to them.
Yeah.
To avoid the painful conversation. It's an ego play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Just
true.
go be honest, and your life gets easier.
Yeah. You're lying to yourself, too, saying it's okay.
100%. 100%.
You know what? That version of yourself that you were talking about earlier, Mike, that says, don't do this to be that version of yourself, that's one of those fucking things where it's like, yeah, stop lying to yourself that it's okay, that's been your buddy for 15 years, and it's okay that he's that way. Like, yeah,
it's the same thing as like a business where like I want to build a $10 million company, but you're afraid to fire your cousin from the sales role they're underperforming in.
Yeah.
Those two things don't align, bro. Like they just don't. Like,
yeah,
you know, you see a lot in businesses that have like family members involved. They're like, I want a $10 million business, but like my mom's doing my books. Like that shit ain't gonna fly, bro. Like those two things don't go together. Like that ain't gonna work, man. Like,
yep. Yeah.
It just, I don't know. You see that'd be the thing. Don't tolerate anything that's underperforming your standards.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. It's nice to have you on here today. I want to leave with one quote that I grabbed from Mike Claudio during this interview. And, dude, I want to put this up, I think, on the wall somewhere here. You don't win championships by always being in a prevent defense. You just don't, dude. That's the best shit I've ever heard, dude. On the goal, can you imagine somebody? Can you imagine your opponent on the goal line and you're like, yo, we're gonna run prevent. 3 guys at the front, 8 at the back. Like, that shit's not gonna fly, dude.
Yeah, but even on offense, if you're just trying to not turn the ball over, you ain't gonna win.
Yeah, that's for sure. You ain't doing quarterback sneaks at all 4 downs either, dude. So we got to have some strategy with this shit. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today, man. I really, really appreciate it. And for myself here in the Blacktop Banter studio and Mike Claudio, this is Blacktop Banter where we speak asphalt. Peace. Hey, everybody. Marvin here from Blacktop Banter. And if you enjoy the podcast and what we've been bringing to the industry, you can support us through a one-time or recurring donation at blacktopbanter.com. There we have a support tab. You click that and choose your path from there. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do us a favor and leave a review there for us as well. As always, we speak asphalt, and thanks for your support.